Hello everybody! Step back with me to the days of World War I, where courage flickered in the smoke and mud. These photographs tell tales of soldiers, heroes, and quiet moments, forgotten snapshots of a world at war. Let's remember together. In Travis, Texas, I can still see the Bible class at the Army YMCA building No. 1 in Camp Travis, where an African-American Y secretary taught men from the 165th Depot, their eager faces lit by hope and faith. Silhouettes of American soldiers stand vivid in my mind, manning 3-inch anti-aircraft guns as spotlights pierced the night sky during World War I, searching for enemy planes in a world forever changed by war. I remember the French liner La France, its decks and balconies crowded with heroic African-American men of the 15th Infantry, returning home, their brave hearts carrying tales of valor from distant shores. At Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania, American officers inspected recruits' pistols, the young men standing tall and still, a quiet pride in their eyes as they trained for the great war's unyielding call. Down roads long faded into memory, American infantry soldiers marched toward the Rhine, their boots kicking up dust, hearts set on a horizon where peace might one day bloom from battle's end. In Beaumont, France, soldiers of Battery C, 6th Field Artillery fired their field gun, empty shell cases piling around them on the Lorraine front, each blast echoing a longing for home and quieter days. On April 2, 1918, U.S. Marines manned an anti-aircraft gun, their steady hands aimed at the sky, a scene captured by Bay News Service, whispering of courage under the vast, war-torn heavens of World War I. Across no man's land, I see him still, an allied soldier with bayonet fixed, standing amid barbed wire, retouched in memory, his resolve a beacon through the haze of battle's relentless storm. Minutes after the armistice, German soldiers greeted a U.S. soldier, a fleeting moment of peace caught in a photograph, as if the silence itself spoke of a world ready to heal from World War I scars. At a World War I burial service, a large group of African-American soldiers in uniforms and hats gathered outside, their solemn faces honoring an American officer, a farewell etched in time's embrace. In Saint-Nazaire, France, circa 1918, infantrymen boarded ships to return home after World War I, their weary steps lightened by thoughts of loved ones waiting across the sea they'd fought to cross. 3 wounded soldiers knitted from a hospital bed at Walter Reed in 1917, their hands busy with yarn, their spirits mending in Washington, D.C., a tender scene courtesy of the National Archives. On Italy's Piave front, U.S. troops marched through World War I, circa 1914 to 1918, their figures small against the rugged land, carrying dreams of victory and the promise of a peaceful tomorrow. Aboard the USS Hancock in 1917, American soldiers waved from the deck, hearts pounding with anticipation as they sailed toward France's front lines, the sea stretching wide with their hopes. In a captured moment, a German officer questioned a smiling African-American soldier from a Harlem regiment, while Allied prisoners laughed nearby, a spark of defiance shining through the war's gloom. Soldiers marched in formation back from a drill, their steps steady across American soil circa 1914 to 1918, each stride a memory of discipline and the quiet resolve of World War I's training days. Red Cross workers handed out sandwiches and coffee to U.S. troops heading to an Atlantic port, bound for France in World War I, their kindness a warm thread woven into the fabric of those times. At Van Cortlandt Park, New York, soldiers of Battery B Signal Army Corps tapped out telegraph messages during World War I maneuvers, their signals buzzing with the urgency of a nation at war. In a sandbag nook, a soldier manned his machine gun, eyes sharp and steady, a lone figure in a world of chaos, guarding the fragile hopes of peace during the Great War's endless nights. In New York, circa 1917, the U.S. Marines recruiting station buzzed with young men eager to serve, their footsteps echoing a call to duty that still lingers in the air of World War I's memory. German prisoners of war in France carried equipment for their American captors, a reluctant alliance born of defeat, their burdened shoulders telling tales of a war nearing its weary end. In London, a woman reached out to welcome an American soldier as his troop paraded through, her hand a bridge between nations, her smile a light in the shadow of World War I's trials. At a Knights of Columbus club, two boxes sparred for American servicemen, their punches a fleeting escape from the weight of war, laughter and sweat mingling in a moment of reprieve. On September 15, 1917, at Camp Upton, Long Island, soldiers learned pistol firing, their hands gripping steel, their focus unwavering, a snapshot of readiness etched into New York's history. In 1918, an American Marine in France stood by his anti-aircraft gun, a Bain News Service image that still whispers of vigilance, the sky above him vast with the promise of war's end. At the Marine Corps' rifle range in 1917, Lewis machine gun tests rang out, captured by Harris and Ewing, the sharp cracks a reminder of the precision forged in World War I's crucible. The 369th Black Infantry Regiment arrived in New York after World War I, their return undated but unforgettable, their proud steps on home soil a testament to battles fought and won afar. In Hoboken, New Jersey, soldiers stepped ashore, their arrival a quiet triumph, an undated photograph holding the joy of homecoming after World War I's long and winding road. New York's Fifth Avenue glowed with the 1st Division Pershing Parade, a World War I photograph of triumph, the city's heart beating with pride for its returning sons and daughters. United States tanks and infantry rolled through World War I, their steel and spirit intertwined, a memory of courage rumbling across fields where the past still echoes in the earth. In a victory parade, U.S. troops marched past onlookers from a high angle, celebrating World War I's end, their strides a hymn to peace won through the grit of countless yesterdays. Two U.S. soldiers in gas masks walked through smoke plumes during World War I, their figures ghostly, their resolve unshaken, a haunting vision of survival in a world turned gray. On Armistice Day, overlooking headstones, stood Orzantz, a World War I vet, with SGD, John Hakimovich, their presence a bridge across wars, honoring the fallen in quiet reverence. In 1917, New York City's farewell parade saw troops march off, a photograph of goodbyes, their faces bright with purpose, the streets alive with the bittersweet hum of departure. Soldiers of the 27th Infantry Division boarded a train in Great Britain after sailing on the SS Leviathan, their journey home from World War I a tale of endurance and long for rest. At Yale University, student A. Bell sorted Army recruitment posters circa 1914 to 1918, his hands busy with paper dreams, Connecticut's campus alive with the call to serve in World War I. At Edgewood Arsenal, Maryland, students released smoke from chemical cylinders during World War I. The Army Chemical Warfare Service School, a haze of learning amid war's stark lessons. Pennsylvania National Guardsmen listened as a chemical warfare officer taught gas mask use, their faces intent, the air thick with the weight of World War I's unseen dangers. In 1918, Army trainees crouched in Western Front trenches in France, their eyes on the horizon, World War I's mud and wire, a crucible where courage was shaped day by day. At Fort McPherson, Georgia, wounded soldiers from France played baseball on hospital grounds, their laughter a soft rebellion against pain, healing in the sunlit fields of home. In 1918, Charlie Chaplin's silent comedy Shoulder Arms flickered across Hollywood screens, his antics a gentle balm for a world weary from World War I's unrelenting storm. In New York, circa 1917, some of the first American draftees faced medical exams, their nervous breaths a prelude to service, the room humming with the pulse of a nation at war. At an unnamed camp in 1917, soldiers trained with wood and mortar, aiming through sights, their hands steady, their spirits rising toward the unknown trials of World War I's front. In Houston's Camp Logan, January 8, 1918, I Company of the 24th Infantry Regiment stood proud, their faces a gallery of resolve, World War I's story written in their steadfast gaze. In Oyster Bay, Long Island, children rode a Liberty Bell wagon, welcoming home World War I soldiers, their cheers a sweet echo of peace, a photograph of joy frozen in time. An artilleryman carried large shells, his strength to quiet him to duty, an undated World War I photograph that still speaks of the burdens borne on fields far from home. Up Fifth Avenue near 41st Street, a draft parade marched, the New York Public Library's lions watching, St. Patrick's spire piercing the sky, a city pulsing with World War I's fervor. In May 1918, a French-built Renault FT-17 tank rolled toward the front in France, its Hotchkiss machine gun ready, a two-man crew carrying hope through World War I scarred lands. Father Duffy presided over a funeral for U.S. troops killed in World War I, circa 1914 to 1919, his voice a solemn thread weaving through the grief of a nation honoring its lost. In France, circa 1914 to 1918, the original machine gun company fired into action, their rhythm steady, World War I's chaos tamed for a moment by the resolve of those who stood firm. At Camp Dix, New Jersey, Company M312 soldiers stood at attention in uniforms and gas masks, stereoscope images capturing their stillness, a World War I memory held in time. Troops trudged roads to France circa 1914 to 1918, their journey a thread in World War I's vast tapestry, each step a story of grit and longing for the homes they'd left behind. In 1917, New York's 7th Regiment marched past former Commander Call, Appleton on Fifth Avenue, their cadence a farewell, the city's heartbeat since to World War I's call. Under Colonel Haywood, the 15th New York Regiment of African-American troops trained in trench warfare, their mid to late 1910s drills a testament to valor in World War I's shadows. Under Colonel Haywood, the 15th Regiment honed trench warfare skills in the mid to late 1910s, their grit a quiet fire, World War I's trials met with the strength of unsung heroes. Private Laughlin of the 69th Regiment kissed his child goodbye in 1917. His wife and daughter close, a tender farewell as New York's National Guard marched into World War I's embrace. From a ship's deck in 1917, American soldiers waved heartily, bound for France's fight, their enthusiasm a bright thread in World War I's tale, the sea alive with their dreams. In September 1917, the 27th Division's headquarters troop marched silhouetted to camp. New York National Guard's line a quiet promise of strength for World War I's trials ahead. At a naval training camp, a soldier blew his bugle through a giant megaphone, waking residents with a sound that still rings in memory, a call to rise for World War I's cause. On October 24, 1918, troops paraded through Vladivostok, Russia, honored by celebration, their steps of victory dance, World War I's distant echoes carried on foreign streets. From Hoboken, New Jersey, circa 1914 to 1918, the 37th Division departed for Europe's front lines, their journey a solemn vow, World War I's vastness stretching before their eyes. Once Mexican border patrol, the Armored Cavalry Division rode through World War I circa 1914 to 1918, their steel horses a memory of valor across America's changing battlegrounds. In 1919, soldiers waved from the USS Agamemnon, returning from France to Hoboken, NJ, their joy a tide washing over the deck, World War I's and a sweet homecoming psalm. World War I soldiers sat segregated by race, smiling at the camera, drills in the background, a moment of light amid the weight of a nation divided yet united in purpose. In the 10th Cavalry, African-American soldiers stood in rows during World War I, their uniforms crisp, pride shining, a full landscape shot of honor etched into history's frame. A World War I parade saw the 7th Regiment's color bearers stride forth, their flags of vivid memory, the air thick with the triumph of those who carried light through war's dark. On the USS Agamemnon, soldiers cheered as they returned from France to Hoboken, the crowded deck alive with voices, World War I's battles fading into the joy of home. With a boy dressed as Uncle Sam, the 2nd Regiment marched past 26th and 5th Avenue in a victory parade, World War I's and a celebration woven into New York's streets. American Buffalo soldiers of the 367th Infantry, 77th Division, posed with a French girl, their smiles a bridge across oceans, World War I's campaign in France a shared story. At Debarkation Hospital No. 3, a nurse gave cigarettes and apples to a serviceman circa 1918, her Christmas gift a warm whisper of home amid New York City's healing halls. Wounded 106th Infantry Regiment soldiers rode cars before a 27th Division parade in New York circa 1918, their spirits high, World War I scars worn with quiet pride. The former 14th New York National Guard, now 2nd Pioneer Infantry, returned to Hoboken circa 1919, World War I's and a homecoming etched in New Jersey's welcoming arms. Veterans of World War I gathered outside Washington's Congressional Library, demanding their promised bonus, their voices a chorus of sacrifice echoing through time's halls. Eddie Rickenbacker, ace of the 94th Aero Pursuit Squadron, posed by his Nieuport 28 during World War I, his gaze steady, a pilot's courage soaring above the fray. Raoul Lufbery, French-born ace of the Lafayette Escadrille, stood tall in the 94th Aero Pursuit Squadron, his World War I legacy a sky painted with valor and daring flight. In 1915, African-American soldiers stood in rows, some armed, their neutral faces a gallery of strength, World War I's quiet heroes etched against an outdoor canvas. Floyd Gibbons, war correspondent, lost an eye at Belleau Wood, his portrait a testament to World War I's cost, his words a bridge from battle's edge to history's page. In France, women at an embarkation handed chocolates and cigarettes to U.S. soldiers, their kindness a thread of home, a sign reading farewell in World War I's tender light. A World War I enlistment poster cried "Protect the nation's honor," its undated call a whisper of duty, urging hearts to rise for a cause that shaped a generation's soul. Call, Hayward and the 369th Regiment boys, Croix de Guerre winners, stood proud in an undated photo, World War I's valor shining through their unwavering, heroic gaze. Michigan troops passed through Cincinnati, hanging from railroad cars, a World War I photograph of motion, Ohio streets alive with the rhythm of soldiers on the move. A U.S. soldier chalked the AF's ambition on a railroad car, an undated World War I mark of dreams, the train a vessel carrying hope across a nation's vast expanse. The 69th Infantry Regiment loaded trucks with gear circa 1917, their hands steady, World War I's call a pulse through America, the road ahead shadowed with purpose. A parade float with the Liberty Bell welcomed home troops in New York City circa 1914 to 1919. World War I's end a celebration, the bells ring a song of freedom regained. Wounded 1st Division soldiers marched through Washington, D.C. as Victory arched circa 1918 to 1919, their steps proud, World War I scars a badge of honor in the parade's glow. Troops returned to a hero's welcome at a U.S. train station circa 1918 to 1919, their faces bright, World War eyes and the homecoming woven into the fabric of America's heart. In France circa 1914 to 1918, a soldier taught to rookies to clean a gun, his hands guiding, World War I's lessons passed down in the quiet focus of a training day. At Plattsburgh, New York, circa 1914 to 1918, soldiers cleaned rifles in camp, their motion steady, World War I's discipline a thread tying them to a cause larger than themselves. A soldier was shaved at Plattsburgh's U.S. encampment circa 1914 to 1918, the blades glide a ritual, World War I's daily life a fleeting calm amid the storm of duty. The 7th Infantry Regiment boarded trains in New York circa 1914 to 1918, their journey a farewell, World War I's call pulling them from home to the unknown ahead. In Brest, France, 1918, General John Pershing inspected British troops, his gaze keen, World War I's alliance is a tapestry woven in the shadow of trenches and guns. A gas alert gripped U.S. troops in the trenches during World War I, their masks a shield, the air thick with danger, a memory of survival carved into the earth. At New York's Grand Central Palace in 1917, an Indian motorcycle ambulance shone at the Hero Land benefit, its wheels a symbol of care rolling through World War I's need. Wounded or gassed African American soldiers returned on the Giuseppe Verdi to New York. Their faces weary, World War I's cost a story told in their quiet homecoming. In 1919, a huge crowd welcomed soldiers parading down Fifth Avenue, New York, the public library watching, World War I's end of triumph etched in the city's cheering throng. A man modeled a steel helmet with a chain screen, shielding eyes from war's fragments, World War I's ingenuity, a quiet hope against the chaos of shells and stone. In Cincinnati circa 1918, Red Cross nurses crafted 6,000 knitted garments for soldiers in France, their needles dancing, World War I swarmed sent across the sea. U.S. Army soldiers floated on Ohio River barges circa 1917, Cincinnati's waters carrying them, World War I's journey a ripple through America's heartland streams. In Galicia circa 1915, an Austrian armored train's plating gleamed, Eastern Europe's rails a path through World War I, its steel a shield in a land torn by fire. Miss M. Diamond served donuts to servicemen in a Salvation Army hut on Union Square, New York, circa 1918. Her smile a gift, World War I's kindness a warm bite. In a World War I reenactment, a man dressed as a U.S. soldier charged with bayonet poised, his motion a memory, the past alive in the echo of a battle's cry. An African American regiment played as a brass band in New York circa 1914 to 1918, their music a heartbeat, World War I's spirit lifted on notes of pride and joy. A tobacco card from 1914 to 1915, First Aid Nurses Yeomanry Corps, captured World War I's care, weak corporal cigarettes framing a moment of healing in war storm. Women waved farewell to a trainload of soldiers circa 1918, their hands trembling, World War I's departure a quiet ache, the whistle a sound of love left behind. On February 17, 1919, a soldier who lost his leg shook hands with the crowd at the 36th Colored Infantry Parade, his grip firm, World War I's cost met with cheers. Soldiers of the French Sixth Army studied shell-torn trenches near Chateau Thierry, their eyes tracing wire, World War I scars a map of courage on the battlefield. Teenage Yale Daily News Board members enlisted in World War I, their youth traded for duty, Connecticut's campus a cradle for heroes stepping into war's embrace. In 1915, mail reached German soldiers on the front, and New York Public Library image of connection, World War I's letters a lifeline through the chaos of battle lines. To donut lassies in long coats handed treats to returned African American soldiers, their smiles warm, World War I sweetness a gift from Salvation Army hearts. In Washington, D.C., President Woodrow Wilson urged Congress to send troops against Germany, his voice steady, World War I's call a moment that shaped a nation's path. Roosevelt, Highland, Benson, and Bullard stood together in a timeless frame, their presence a bond, World War I's leaders weaving America's resolve into history's grand tale. Soldiers and engineers burned fruit pits for gas mask charcoal circa 1914 to 1918, their fires a quiet craft, World War I's ingenuity born from the simplest of things. Plattsburgh circa 1914 to 1918. A soldier shaved in camp, the mirror reflecting resolve. World War I daily writes a thread of normalcy in a world turned upside down. In Los Angeles, a crowd on Broadway and 5th cheered the 364th Infantry's homecoming parade, World War I's end of joy. The North flew alive with Victories song. The Bonus Army, World War I veterans, held vigil on the Capitol steps in Washington, D.C. Their weight a plea, the Senate's debate a shadow over promises kept. As the echoes of those years fade, these images linger in our hearts. Which photograph stirred you most? Share your favorite in the comments below. Let's keep their stories alive, one memory at a time.